Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Kappas, and my wife here is Sandra Kappas. I'm a chiropractor. My wife's a doctor of physical therapy. We own Kappas Wellness Centers and Back in Action Physical Therapy. The importance of gut health. The gut affects pretty much every major system in the body. Obviously digestive, immune, and endocrine, nervous system, respiratory, integumentary, and so on. There's 10 times as many bacteria in the gut than there is actually cells. I wasn't done with that. The gastrointestinal tract contains 90% of the happy hormone, which is serotonin. So if you don't have a happy gut, you don't have a happy life. 70% of your immune system is housed within the intestinal tract. What is leaky gut? I'm going to go ahead and bring you over to the whiteboard and pretty much explain it. Basically, what leaky gut is where there's an increase in permeability of the small intestines, where macronutrients are being absorbed, or not completely broken down, but being absorbed more than what they should be. So what happens is the food comes in, protein digestion starts in the stomach, moves down into the small intestines where the pancreas and liver secrete enzymes to help break down, or liver secretes enzymes in the gallbladder to break down fats, and then it travels into the top portion of small intestines. Now what we've done is we've drawn a small section of the small intestines, and these little areas represent cells. There's a single cell lining all the way along the entire intestinal tract. And what that allows for once the macronutrients are broken down to the, for instance, with proteins go to pepsin and then to pepsinogen, it goes from protein to pepsin and then ultimately to amino acids. Amino acids are small enough to cross into the cells and then permeate across the cell membrane to go into the blood vessels to transport throughout the body for nutrition. The problem with leaky gut, what happens is zonulin, which is a chemical which is a protein that's found in gluten, will cause the gap junctions between the cells, they're called tight gap junctions, to separate. And as they separate, they allow partially undigested food to pass into the bloodstream. Now the problem with that is what happens, the immune system doesn't recognize it as food. It recognizes something foreign. So you end up with an immune response. You'll end up with bloating. Okay, how do we get leaky gut? It's from the standard American diet, exposure to chemicals, chronic infections, gluten and other grains, food sensitivities, excessive medications, and poor managed stress. The SAD diet, or the standard American diet, that is appropriately named. According to a 2009 study conducted by the USDA, 63% of the calories that Americans consume are prepackaged or pre-prepared foods. And this contains preservatives, additives, food colorings, sugars, and oils, and refined grains. We call that fruit, and fruit is basically frankenfood, fake food, not real food, and our body sees it that way and reacts accordingly. Now this causes inflammation. Inflammation generally is a good thing. It's your body's way of protecting against bacteria and viruses that are not supposed to be in your body, or fungi or parasites. But when there's chronic inflammation, that's not beneficial. That will actually cause breakdown of tissue and organs and create all kinds of disease. Basically what gluten is, gluten 101. Gluten is actually comes from either rye, wheat, barley, or other types of grains, and that's what actually causes those tight gap junctions to separate, allowing undigested or partially digested foods or bacteria or viruses to pass through into the bloodstream. How dangerous is this? Once this occurs, you end up with a chronic inflammation, which ultimately will cause disease states. Our microbiome is essential to have balanced bacteria, the proper amount of good bacteria versus, actually you should have good bacteria. If you have bad bacteria, you'll end up with a condition called SIBO. This affects digestion, the immune system, nutrient absorption, hormone regulation, vitamin production, detoxification, and mood management. Primary effects of gluten: it causes intestinal hyperpermeability. It also even affects the brain-blood barrier. So conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia, there's still a lot of research being done as the effects of what we eat and how it affects these conditions, or it may even cause some of these conditions. The onset of autoimmune disorders like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, you end up with skip lesions. Psychological disorders, dysbiosis, abnormal bacterial growth, acute allergic or IgE responses, and delayed antibody responses. Secondary effects would be like pernicious anemia, iron deficiencies, B12 deficiencies, systemic inflammation throughout the body. Gluten's path to disease. The problem with gluten is most people don't recognize that there is actually a gluten issue. So that's the first step that happens. You end up with gluten sensitivities, but you don't realize it. You just think that you just ate something wrong or something. Then secondly, what happens is you start to develop food allergies. And these food allergies, we again attribute to certain types of foods. You just can't eat certain types of foods, when in fact it is actually a gluten sensitivity. It's not until the third stage that we actually recognize that there's a gluten problem. The problem with that is by that time, there's been a good bit of damage that can be done. Now, there's different ways you can get gut dysbiosis: pesticides, excessive medications, additives. That can affect the nervous system, the immune system, the reproductive system, absorption of certain minerals and vitamins, obesity, thyroid issues, hormonal issues, migraine headaches, and the list goes on. Okay, there's 5 actually critical elements that we're concerned about within the gut microbe. Mucosal IgA, that's an antibody that lines the mucosal linings, which would be the stomach, or excuse me, the mouth, the reproductive organs, even the anus. Tight gap junctions, we discussed that, talking about what happens when gluten actually gets in. GALT, which is gastro-associated lymphatic tissue. So the lymphatic system's involved in this. Friendly bacteria, we have to have the appropriate amounts of friendly bacteria. and the appropriate amounts of stomach acid. The problem is most people think that with stomach acid, when they're getting gastric reflux, they think they have too much stomach acid. And the problem is, it's not too much, it's actually too little. What's happening is the body is slowing down the food that at this point it becomes, the bolus that enters the stomach, to become chyme, the body slows it down so it doesn't move. And the result a lot of times is people will end up with constipation, they'll end up with gastric reflux or hiatal hernia. So it's really important to make sure that HCl, or the hydrochloric acid, is proper in the stomach. The beginning of functional treatment, what we do is we look for vitamin deficiencies. We do the appropriate blood testing, appropriate urine analysis. We look for heavy toxicity from either the hair or the urine. There's actually some genetic testing that can be done to check for celiac or sprue or gluten sensitivities. We look at the environmental allergies in the skin via either skin testing or blood testing. The functional four. In order to overcome this, what you want to do is you want to remove the offending parties. You want to clean up the diet. You want to repair by reintroducing a clean diet. You want to restore, repopulate the gut by using the appropriate prebiotics and probiotics in order to balance the gut flora. You want to replace by actually supplementing the appropriate digestive enzymes and immune boosting vitamins in order to improve the digestive tract. Okay, so basically we want to remove the bad pesticides from foods, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, unnecessary medications, and unnatural household cleaners. Okay, so we want to actually calm the inflammation down by reintroducing nutritious foods, digestive enzymes, prebiotics, probiotics, essential fiber, vitamins, minerals, and acids. For some people, intermittent fasting makes sense. Supplementation, again, probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, fiber, collagen, turmeric, L-glutamine, and quercetin. Remember, health is a journey, not the destination. I'm going to skip the guesswork, allow us to do the blood testing, the urine analysis, the hair analysis, or genetic testing that we need to do in order to figure out what's going on. Thank you for attending.